welcome back to the School of Hard Knocks podcast. I'm your host, Mark W. Knox. Thank you for joining us for another week of exciting and engaging content. This week is no exception to what we normally bring to you guys on a weekly basis. Listen, I have four very special School of Hard Knocks alumni. You guys understand that alumni are people who have been on the show before, successful people who have told their stories in order to create more successful people. That's really what we're trying to do, guys. We're trying to motivate, inspire, encourage, and of course, just like I said in the intro, most of all, challenge. So I'm going to bring in these four individuals, and I think you will find most of them to be pretty familiar, right? So we've got NiNi, who has been a great partner of the show, right? She always shares our social media. She always makes sure that she is the one, guys, who hooked us up with Olgi Sangolo. Can you believe that, right? So that was an awesome connection there. NiNi was on episode number 60, which was in November of 2020. It seems like it was so long ago, right? And then we have Miss Tina Payne, who you guys know as the nurse entrepreneur, who is still inspiring nurses and is still coaching and is still doing classes. And obviously that's what today's show is about, is really about the progress since the last time these individuals were on the show. So Tina was on number 75, which was way back in February of 2021, which again seems like a lifetime ago. But there's a lot that's been going on with Tina, so we're very anxious to hear from her. And last but not least, we have Mr. Brad Carroll, who was on, he's a veteran, guys, episode number 56, October 2020, almost a year ago. And Brad has been gracing my Instagram feed in physique competitions all across the southern United States. So we definitely want to hear from Brad. If you remember, his episode was about discipline. So let's start just by talking about you guys' experience when you first did the show. You know, for some of you, that was the first podcast you ever did. That was the first long form interview that you had ever done. So I want to know about your experience when you did the show, and kind of, you know, based on the feedback of people you know who were listening to your story and were giving you personal feedback. What did that do for you, you know, from a mental standpoint? So I'll let you take it away, Tina, because you look anxious to answer. So I'm gonna let you I'm gonna let you go for it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so thank you again for having me back. I would say, with regards to where I was back in February and now, um, I would just say just more growth, more eyes on my brand, more eyes, as far as people wanting to get started, with the pandemic and everything that's going on in healthcare right now with nurses specifically. And a lot of them are right now are facing ultimatums when it comes to working,
That's right.
or getting the vaccine. A lot of people are looking for alternatives, even more so to working at the bedside, and they are looking into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And so that has also assisted with a lot more, inquiries, DMs, emails, and things of that nature in regards to, really where to start as a nurse entrepreneur and what the options are that are out there. So I would say more visibility in regards to the podcast and just overall, Instagram and things like that.
Right,
So
right. Now, Tina, remind the folks what you do, because you're in a very unique position as you are, you know, obviously professionally trained, professionally certified in a totally other discipline than quote unquote business, right?
right. So I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse since 2005. Can't believe it's been that long. And I left nursing, so to speak, back in March of 2020, right when the pandemic really got started. Um, I started my businesses in 2017 and 2019, respectively. I have two businesses. I own a uniform store, a medical uniform store, where I sell medical apparel, scrubs, shoes, stethoscopes, things like that for anyone in healthcare who needs it here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And then I also have a consulting business, Tina and Payne Consulting, where I help nurses and other women launch their online or brick and mortar store or just business in general.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so since 2018, I've helped over 200 nurses with the blueprint of launching their uniform stores.
Amazing.
And I have an academy where I go even more into depth with the coaching and group program that I offer.
I mean, that's right up our alley, as I like to say. But that's amazing. Um, NiNi, since the show,
Hello.
I mean, again, that we're calling this episode unofficially the glow up because we have watched you guys literally grow exponentially.
Yeah.
From the time that you got on our radar until now, I mean, it's been, I can't even say a roller coaster for you. I feel like it's just been a
Yeah.
whirlwind.
It
So why
has.
don't you fill us in on what's been going on?
Well, it really has been a lot. When I first went on the podcast, that was my first podcast ever. So I feel like you guys like put a spark, in me, and
Good.
it just really, me to maintain being inspired and just, going into these different avenues. So since then, I used to listen to. I'll say I've been listening to replays of old podcasts like
Wow.
probably frequently, since I
Wow.
did Dre Guys podcast, and I've been studying a lot, studying social media, studying Instagram, studying about marketing, branding, doing more visuals for my brand. I started an apprenticeship program, and
Wow.
I developed a training program to help women learn how to, and men, whoever, learn how to
Hmm.
be permanent makeup artists. I've been doing more classes. I just actually had a group henna class today. It was, right before here. And that was awesome. I had 7 women, so
Hmm.
6 women. So that was awesome. So just getting into the role of just helping people find something that they enjoy to do and teaching women how they can do that, helping them grow their business, helping them grow their social media platforms, and just really, I just kind of like dove all in. I feel like every day everything's kind of happening so fast. I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just it's really hard to believe sometimes because I'm like, I was telling a friend today, like if you just consistently take small actions every day, like you'll be surprised the progress you can make in such a short period of time. So
That's right.
you definitely sparked something in me. I listened to a ton of people's episodes and I was inspired by their stories and I continue to be inspired. That's why I'm always team school of the hard knocks.
Hey, listen, we definitely appreciate the support. When we started this, you hear me say this all the time. We started this, we didn't know what it was going to turn into, right? But what it is turning into, which I'm very, very proud of, and I don't take it for granted, is a network of individuals like you, like yourselves, who are in different disciplines. So there's really no room for competition, so to speak, right? Because you're in different areas, but there's so much that you guys can learn from each other, right? So it's
Hmm.
creating that network because I feel like a lot of times in our community, everybody is always trying to either imitate or they're trying to um, impress, right? They're trying to impress people without really necessarily following the right steps. Whereas in this community, everybody can be themselves. You can be vulnerable. You can be whatever you want to be, right? Whatever you want to be, whatever you feel like you need to bring to the table. So that leads me to Brad. Brad, I hope you're still there. Okay. All right. We got you on the frozen face, but it's cool as long as we can hear you. It's all good. So Brad, you guys heard me mention that Brad has literally been all over my Instagram feed in physique competitions. And Brad, forgive me if I'm not referring to this correctly. I don't know much about that world, but your episode, Brad, was about discipline, right? And I said it before, October 2020. Physically, Brad, you didn't look like you look right now, right? And I encourage you guys to go to Brad's Instagram and watch the growth. I'm literally talking. Brad is. Are you a bodybuilder? Is that what they call you?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, legit though, dude. Is like you thought you seen somebody that was ripped. Nah, that ain't. Nope. Like, nah, Brad got muscles I never seen or heard of before. So, so Brad, why don't you tell us a little bit about that year journey, man, since the show, how you got to where you are now. Obviously, you're competing now. You're obviously still a minister. Your child is right around the same age as my twins. So obviously, you're coming into fatherhood pretty strong. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about that, Brad?
Yeah. So, first off, it was all about what it did when I actually did the podcast with you. It was accountability. Once
Mm,
I verbalized that I was disciplined, and once people start saying I was disciplined, I had to then show it because
man,
now eyes on me, now attention is coming my way. And so it's real difficult too because once you verbalize something, the enemy will always try to make you look like the opposite. So I had to put things into action. And on top of that, because Joshua, my son, was coming, I was like, man, I don't want a dad bod. So I started
yeah,
lifting weights, started running, started doing cardio, and I started realizing that, man, you know what, this is kind of fun, because it was all working out, putting it together, and at the same time, I still was doing ministry like what you were saying and everything like
mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm,
I wanted to make sure that I kept everything balanced. Well, fast forward about a couple of months later, that's when, come to find out, I had an irritation, I had a passion, if you will, but I didn't have a pain. Well, December
mm,
the 8th, 2021, I lost my dad. That was the pain that I needed to actually put me into alignment and start making things happen. And so once I actually came to the, I guess, grips, um, it became therapy. Like everything that I'm doing, all the things that I was doing that was a strategy, everything that I was doing that exuded discipline, it was just me honoring my dad. And it was just like legacy at that point because then I start realizing, you know what? I need to give my son more years than my dad gave me. Because what's funny is my dad, he passed away at 62. His dad passed away at 62. I'm not just building legacy, I'm breaking generational curses with this one.
that's right.
Mm.
I mean, on top of that, I started just saying, okay, I can't just be veiny and just focus on the physical being. And so, like I said, I'm over here talking to different people, mentoring different people, and come to find out, it's all working all together. How do you say that? Because now there's this church, Community Life Church, man, they want me to be their pastor.
Wow,
And so once I start putting all these things together and actually
wow.
honoring God in them, man, a lot of people are looking, they'll say, well, no, 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 you do bodybuilding, right? Yeah, no, I do ministry too. Yeah,
Yeah,
like so what I do is I lift weights, but then I also help you with your burdens. Like it all works together.
man,
And so that's why I'm in.
man, that's amazing, man. Like that's amazing. Like that's like a I'm trying to think what a aha moment, or you come to a
Yeah,
realization where there's specific times in all of our lives that we can mark with a stake and say this moment was a turning point, right?
yeah,
And that doesn't happen every year. It doesn't even happen every decade. Like it may
mhm,
happen twice, it may happen 3 times if you're lucky, right? But for you to have that moment and to be so recent, and to be able to verbalize and share that with us, man, we definitely appreciate that. I want to shift gears and talk to Tina again because I know that um, a lot of you that are listening to me are on a similar path, obviously, of what Tina was able to do specifically, which was the retail portion, which was to open the store, right? And I want to talk just a little bit about, Tina, some things that you had planned, and maybe just like when we first started the podcast, I forgot to hit record. False starts, right? Or like
mhm.
a false start, or dare I say, a failure. I mean, here at School of Hard Knocks, failures equal assets. That's what we say. But
Mhm.
I want to know just a little bit, pull back the curtain for us a little bit, Tina.
Yeah, so with my store, I started online. I was online for 3 years, and online was doing pretty good. However, with uniforms or medical scrubs, a lot of our customers really would like to try them on.
Mm-hmm.
And so even within the industry, the market study talks about just how that in-person interaction and the ability to try on products is a little bit better than online, obviously. But the fear was because of the pandemic and even the year prior with stores closing
Mm-hmm.
down, that was somewhat of a fear because I didn't want to have to be closing my store right after I
Right.
opened it.
Right.
So I did take that into consideration, and with regards to budgeting and having, a certain amount of capital, I wanted to make sure that I could cover myself in the event that did happen. So I would say that's one of the things that I would definitely recommend for anybody that's starting a storefront or any type of business is, preparing for that rainy day. Um, but when I started the process of opening the store, we had to do some demo and some construction.
Yeah.
And when I thought the date that I had set for myself to open was not the date that we opened,
Of course.
initially,
Yeah.
because of construction and additional cost of things that, you don't plan for.
You
Even
must.
if you do have a
You must have used the same contractor I did on this investment property.
I don't know. I don't know. And then we had a flood in the store after
Oh
we had pretty
wow.
much most of the merchandise was in there.
Wow.
And so that happened, and the flooring and all that kind of stuff. So you can plan as much as you want, but sometimes things just happen,
Yeah.
and you have to keep going. You have to figure out a solution. You need to have insurance.
Telling you.
um, Big time. And you just keep going. But I think with that is probably what I would recommend is just trying to be, sorry about that, prepare as much as possible with regards to any kind of a brick and mortar or storefront. Just have
Mm-hmm.
a good 3 to 6 months cushion when you are launching, because the customers don't just automatically walk in because you put your sign up.
Right. It's not a
There's a
movie.
lot.
If
Yeah,
you
it's a
build it,
lot
they will
more.
come. No, no, no. It don't work like that.
No, no, no. So there's a lot of marketing and advertising that goes into that
Yeah.
as well. So
That's super practical. I mean, that's
mm,
super practical in a sense of, again, I think that there are individuals, obviously, that hopefully listen to the show that want to do certain things, right? They want to open a certain type of retail location or store, whatever, shop, and the want is there, but the need or the passion is a little loose, let's say. So when things like that start to happen, most people look for an exit plan, or even worse. And again, I got to kick this back to Brad. Even worse, Brad, when people are in a process and something does not go smoothly or something does not go wrong, okay? A lot of times we chalk that up and we say, well, it's not what God has for me, or it's not meant to be, right? When the reality is the process. Well, I'm gonna let you tell what the reality is. I'm gonna let you tell what the reality is. Oh, you muted. Hold on. Let me. All
Yeah,
right, we got
unmute
you.
me, please.
No, you got you.
No, I would say the reality is rebounds, right? Um, you can talk about some of the best NBA players there is, Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem Jabbar. You could talk about a lot of them, and a lot of them get recognized simply because of rebounds. The simplicity of that is, I mean, a rebound wouldn't be a rebound if there wasn't any missed shots. So once the missed shots happen, that don't mean the game is over.
Right.
No, that means you just still pursue the win. You still pursue progress. And for whatever reason, I get it. We get discouraged, and you can have your moment, right? But don't lose that drive and that alignment of why you even got in the game, why you even suited up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, there wouldn't be no rebound without a missed shot. Why did I never think of that? NiNi, talk to us about your rebounds. Not like in the traditional sense, but your rebounds.
Yeah, I don't have a rebound in the traditional sense. But to be honest, I feel like that's where you build your muscle when you are going through things and you are put in situations where you really have to learn how to pivot and work with what you have and be grateful for what you have
Mm-hmm.
and appreciate what you have in that moment. Like once you can shift your perspective to not look at things in a way where like why am I in this situation? I'm in this situation. I'm capable of getting through this situation. I'm going to get through this situation, and when I get to the other side, I'm going to be stronger because of it. I feel like I've learned that a lot of times we focus on the wrong things. It's simple as a shift in perspective. Like you don't get muscle without moving weight in as
Yeah.
Brad would say, I'm
Yeah.
sure you can build muscle because you was just pretending to push the weight. You have to put the effort in.
Mm.
And the only way to do that is by going through things and growing through things. Like that's the one thing that I've learned throughout this whole journey of entrepreneurship is that the successful people are made in the moment that you don't quit, you don't give up.
Mm.
That's the difference between us sitting here saying that we're working towards our business and somebody who started, got discouraged, and stopped. Your true test of faith is when you are discouraged. Are you going to give up when you're discouraged, or are you going to continue to push forward? And you just always have to push forward. Like you just got to push forward.
So you said a couple things, and I want to challenge you on one of those things. I just want to play a bit of the adverse advocate, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but for one, I do believe that planned things never go as planned. Number one, right? So you always got to plan for contingencies, and that's practical. I also believe that, um, just like you said, NiNi, you're made in the toughest moments. Because if it
Mm-hmm.
was easy, if what you three were doing was easy, the line would be around the corner for people to jump in, right?
Exactly.
That's why everybody clicks on everything on social media that has to do with getting rich quick because it looks
Mm-hmm.
easy, right? So it's
Yeah.
again, if it was easy, everybody would do it. The thing I'm gonna challenge you on, NiNi, and I want all you guys to chime in on this, is you cannot teach what you just said. You can't teach grit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can train grit. You can train it, but the only way to train grit is to go through trials and tribulations. But you can't teach it. You can't teach the emotion of wanting wanting to give up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just can't, you can't teach that emotion, right? So how do you guys approach that again in the most practical sense? Because there are moments when you want to give up, and there's in those same moments there's probably a handful of individuals that you love and trust that will support you if you give up. They'll say, hey, you know what, you tried, you did great, I'm proud of you, right? You did your thing, I won't even be mad. So how do you pivot, as NiNi said? How do you shift your perspective, as she said, to really change the narrative of your direction in that moment? Anybody can chime on that.
I would
Wounds,
say,
wounds are over. Go, go ahead.
Late,
Go ahead. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Go ahead, Tina.
oh, I was just going to say, it just starts with mindset. And as an entrepreneur, you have to train your mind to be an entrepreneur and to go through things. It is rarely easy going through building a business. Like you're going to have something come up every week, sometimes every day. You have to be a problem solver. And that is what you are doing. It's not Nothing is going to be handed to you, especially if you're starting with something that you're building from the ground up that you
Mm-hmm.
have no blueprint on, or no, it's not a franchise, or,
Right.
there's no booklet to tell you, what to do. So I think first we have to let our, up and coming entrepreneurs know that you have to first build your mindset. Personal development is very, very key. Reading, different books to just understand the different types of models and things that you will go through as
Mm-hmm.
a business owner. And if you want it bad enough, if your why is strong enough, you will be able to get through it. And every time you get through one thing, you should be able to say, okay, I got through that. Now I can move on to the next thing. Like NiNi was saying, you are building that muscle by going through something. But the mindset training, daily affirmations, having a coach, having a mentor, someone who can help guide you and let you know, hey, no, you're not giving up. You said you wanted this.
That's right.
I'm not going to be the person to say, oh, it's okay, you tried. No, no, no. You just told me you wanted to do this,
That's
you
right.
know. So let's figure out a plan. Let's back up, let's start over. And it's okay to start over.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. It is okay to start over. I've started over multiple times.
That sounds
So
like a good coach to me, y'all. That sounds like a good coach, right? I mean, that's the basis of accountability. I'm going to remind you what you said you wanted to do, and then I'm going to hold you to it. Right now, if you want to fire me, then that's fine. You still got to pay 2 more months, and then I let you off the books, right? But at that point, again, you know what I mean? Let's start over. Let's start over. Uh, Go ahead, Brad. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say two things. That's tough to follow up. But I was gonna say that the first thing is a lot of times you can't just have passion for a thing, but you have to also make sure you're called for a thing. Because I didn't go to America's Talent. I mean I'm really good at having a passion for singing, but I can't sing. So passion alone won't do it. It just won't do it. Right? Now, the second thing is a lot of times people like to avoid this, but wounds matter. So it's okay
Mm,
to hurt sometimes, but wounds matter. Wounds always produce beautiful things. Ask a woman because she has a wound, she gets pregnant and she produces a beautiful thing. And so you always have to know, hey, it won't change until it hurts bad enough. So if it don't hurt bad enough, hey, call me when it does.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's funny that you said that though, Brad, because in those moments, I look at myself literally in the mirror, and sometimes it's the rearview mirror of my truck, and I look at myself and say, "You must be crazy for even starting this process because it hurt. It hurts that bad." I mean, I have moments, y'all. I don't know about y'all. Maybe I'm about to go to another place right here mentally, but I have moments where I literally have to go to my quiet place, and I'm literally talking to myself, talking this thing out, trying to figure out, okay, I know what happened inside and out, but what's my next move? How am I going to get out of this? How am I going to set myself up to make the next one? Like, and literally, y'all, I be thinking I'm crazy sometimes because it hurts that bad, and I care about it that much, right? And listen, I don't want to make this conversation exclusive to entrepreneurs either, right? This conversation applies to anybody that has a responsibility to take care of their family, or anybody that's trying to break a generational curse, anybody that's trying to do something, right? Extraordinary. Even if you are in a traditional career, I applaud you because you're trying to do something extraordinary. Again, you're trying to break a generational curse, you're trying to provide for your family. And there's going to be times where people are going to look at you in that corporate setting and expect you to do one thing, and you know in your heart you need to be doing something else, and it's going to hurt, right? It's going to hurt. So just again, just looking at that fact about the wounds, right? NiNi, you said something earlier about small tasks.
Mhm.
And then Tina, you said something about daily affirmation. So let's flip the script and let's talk about the positive piece, because I believe celebrating the small wins and constantly encouraging yourself are critical. So NiNi, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the small wins, right? How do you celebrate that? I know you just came back from a trip. That was probably a
Yeah.
celebration of something, right?
That was a celebration. So I have learned I always try to celebrate the things that I do well. And because if I don't do it, then nobody else is going to do it. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't have a coworker to say, thanks for getting that in on time or thanks for doing that. So I have to remind myself that I deserve certain things. And traveling is one of my ways that I can be alone, be in
Mm-hmm.
nature. I love to be outside near water. And those are the moments where I'm telling myself, like, Genine, stay the course. Like she said, the mindset thing, that is so true. When I said I listen to your podcast all the time, I listen to them all the time. And I like it because everyone is from where I'm from. So I can relate to them. They're not some far away people that I'm never going to see on TV. So I
Right.
look at them, I listen to things that they do. I see on their social media or on their platforms that it's working for them.
Right.
So I can relate to that, and I get excited about that, and I keep moving. And like I said, I celebrate myself. I tell myself how proud I am, and I take time out for myself because I really believe that balance is the most important key for success. You have to have balance. Something go wrong.
We good. I think we lost
Okay.
Brad, but he'll come back. He'll come back.
But
Let me pull the
having that
switch up
balance,
over
so
here.
making sure that I do self care and I
Hmm.
take care of me prior to doing anything else.
So the other side of this coin is, um, and I wish Brad was back with us because I wanted to ask him about the competition piece. Right, when he competes, he doesn't always win. Right, when he competes, he doesn't always win. But when you look at his notes in the social media, or how he's feeling about a certain thing, he always says, I had a good time. I learned a lot. Like he always, it's basically, it's still a win for him. Let's say that it's still a win, right? So I wanted to definitely ask him about that. But in the meantime, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll see if we can get Brad back, and I'll see you guys in a minute. So, and we're back on the School of Hard Knocks podcast. Unfortunately, I think we lost Brad, but that's okay. Again, you guys can listen to episode 56 to hear more about his story, and I'll make sure we put his social media information in the show notes. But we still got NiNi and we still got Tina. So, NiNi, just for some clarity, you said you just got back from a trip. You like to travel, right?
Mm.
Now, are you going on these trips by yourself?
No, I am going on these trips with my wonderful friends.
Okay,
Girls'
so
trips.
so very important point. The people that you're going on the trips with, they know why you're going on the trip,
Yes.
right? And they're happy for you and they're celebrating for you, right?
Yes. Hmm.
What about the other people? Because again, in order to get to a certain level, unfortunately, some things have to fall off. Some weight has to fall off,
Hmm.
right? Now, for me personally, yes, I've lost relationships with people in this process. And it was no fault of them being a certain way or me being a certain way. Our interests kind of went in two separate directions, right? So talk to us about, you and Tina, about how you guys have been able to manage relationships, as you're climbing your own, your own ladder. You can go ahead, Tina. Give NiNi a break. You go ahead.
Oh wow. So this is I would say it can be hard at times, and it really just comes down to having like-minded people in your circle. Um, because I know for me, I like talking about business, and sometimes some of my friends are like, "Is that all you talk about? You talk about something else? Can we not be professional or talk about business all the time?" I'm like, what is there to talk about? We're not millionaires yet.
Right.
We gotta get this money. Like, what is like? Come on.
Right.
So, yeah, I probably have ran off some people, or I don't care. But anyway, yes, like-minded people. But then also you do have to have a balance. So, um, making time to talk to your family or friends who are very important to you about, the
Hmm.
things that interest them, and not always being just so always about business. But I think
Mhm.
that, um, you know, you just have to be around people that are in alignment with what's going on in your life. And that's just with anything. Like even when I was going through certain things in my life, like as a new mom, or when I was pregnant, I was more drawn to people who were going through that situation. That's all I
Sure.
was looking up on
Sure.
videos and YouTube and things like that. So I think it just comes down to where you are in your life. But you want to be able to celebrate with your loved ones when you do have those big milestones and things like that. And sometimes it does hurt if when they're not there, but it shouldn't stop you. You just keep going. Um, so
Yeah,
it's a balance.
it
It's
definitely
all
is.
about.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
What about you, Nini?
Yeah, I agree with Tina. I feel like, God is going to align you with the people that you need in your life. Like, I'm a firm believer in that. I feel like I used to talk about business and browse to my friends, and I used to get on their nerves, but the ones who are truly in support of me, you know, they listen. They give me a time limit. They're like, okay, you're done. So I think that more importantly, I've learned to the value of friendships. So I'm very intentional about the time that I spend with the people that I'm close to. I nurture those relationships, my new relationships. I do the same. I'm not just out here just, willy nilly, hey, with everybody, hanging out with everybody. Like that has minimized because now my time is different. I have to maximize my time. And so if I can
Mhm.
utilize some of that time with like minded people and kill two birds with one stone with the social and the business, it
Sure.
makes it
Mhm.
easier as well. So just aligning yourself with people who are for you, the people that have been around and that are no longer around. Like you said, our lives just no longer align, and it's nothing against them or no bad blood, but God is going to align you with the people that you need to be aligned with. That's both professionally and personally, and I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah. I've come to realize again that people can be in your life for seasons sometimes, um,
Mm-hmm.
but people can come back into your life too during different seasons. So like there's
Mm-hmm.
people that I wasn't necessarily like buddy homeboy with in high school that I look at now and I'm like, man, we really got a lot more in common. Like we've been through a lot of the same experiences. We're able
Mhm.
to talk to each other on a deeper level without all of the distractions of high school, right? So some of those
Right.
people have come back into my life and it's very refreshing. Um, but there's also a group of people kind of like what Tina said where um, I may have started off and every conversation I was trying to have was like about business or I was trying to be their coach or whatever, and it was like okay, like stop, right? So there are some areas like balance is very important. There are some key areas where it's off limits, so to speak, and it's not
Mhm.
like a formal agreement. It's just like hey, I just want to be
Yeah.
Mark, like I just want to be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So yeah,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's kind of the thing. That's kind of the thing. So
Yeah.
in regard to what other people have been, like how you've been affecting other people, right? I call it kind of, excuse me, kind of call it the service aspect, right? So we know that Tina's a coach, obviously, and Nini, we know that you're doing the classes. I want you guys to tell me some of the reviews and some of the feedback that you've been getting personally, right? I know this is not it's not normal for you to brag on yourselves, but I'm giving you permission to do that now. I want you guys to tell me some instances of lives that you've affected. Okay, so Tina, you can go ahead and take that one.
Um, so yes, I've had several of my clients and students who have been able to open up who started off with their online scrub store or uniform
Mm-hmm.
store and have, even when I first started coaching, like when I didn't know as much as I know now, they were still able to, with that information, open up their storefronts successfully. I get a lot of feedback in regards to really just how much information I provide. I always over deliver when it comes to my content because I remember how it felt to not know, and I
Mm.
had to really figure everything out, make all the phone calls, Google, YouTube, be up all night, trying to figure things out. And I always wanted to have some kind of basically help them growth hack their business by just having everything laid out.
Yeah.
And so I do get a lot of great feedback, especially about my course, about how everything is pretty much laid out um, for them to really be successful by the end of the course. And really, if they're not, that's because they didn't implement what they were taught. So, those are just some of the things that I've heard. And just that I'm a very easy person to talk to, get along with. And I'm really just always rooting for women for the most part, but
Yeah,
people in general, you
sure.
know. So I'm a cheerleader. So I love helping people.
Yeah. What about you, Nene?
Yeah, I would say the same. I have typically done one-on-one classes or group classes. I just more recently started doing apprenticeships,
Mm-hmm.
which I prefer because you get to really develop a relationship with the student. You really get to, have conversations that, extend beyond just doing browse, just business conversation, just being able to, have that balance. And it's more of like an overall approach as opposed to just seeing someone a couple days for a class and kind of seeing them on their way. So I've been able to do that, and then when I'm able to see them explain things to other people, or
Yeah.
talk clients through a process or do a consultation, and I see that they're retaining the information and they're actually receiving it. Because like I said, I'm fairly new to business, and I came from being a therapist. So I went from being a therapist to the beauty industry. They're
Mm-hmm.
completely different. And so I've kind of had to build a community of women entrepreneurs in the beauty industry. So prior to, I would say, like the past couple of 6 months, maybe I would say over the past 6 months, I've been able to kind of see how I'm viewed from people that are in my field, as
Got you.
opposed to just seeing it from clients, people who are,
Yeah.
coming completely different lane trying to
Mm-hmm.
move into something different, because that's a lot of the people that I work with. They're on the 9 to 5, they're trying to get into something, and they're
Mm-hmm.
choosing browse. So I haven't been so much immersed in the beauty community until more recently.
Okay.
So just hearing people, talk about how they've been watching me and they seen me grow, and they'll send me inboxes, and it means a lot to me to
Right.
have people who been in the game, whether that's 4 or 5 years. Even your wife has been doing hair forever. You know what I mean? So when
Mm-hmm.
people that are engulfed in that industry give me compliments and say certain things, it makes me feel like I'm going on the right path, and that also I can help other women who don't have that background create a space for them. It like this
Yeah.
is something that I tell people all the time. I didn't know nobody's brows but my own, and they was jacked up, but I didn't know. That's all I
Yeah.
knew. I
Yeah.
didn't know any better. But I learned something, I practiced it, and I worked at it to the point where I perfected it. And I want to be able to help other women do the same. You can grow into love something based on the relationships that I make with my clients. Like, that still gives me that sense of, that therapeutic relationship. I talked about that when you did the initial interview, but I still get that therapeutic relationship with my clients, with my students, with people that are doing the apprenticeship, because everybody that sits down and comes into sit in my office or my chair, they're telling me about what they've been going through, what they're stressed out about.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a break. Everybody needs self-care. That's something that we all can relate to. And it comes out when I'm doing their brows, and they ain't had brows all their life, and they get them, and they get confidence now. So now they feel better speaking up. Just something as simple as not having brows make you not want to stand out. You don't want people to notice that you don't have it. So it makes a big change. So being able to use the skills that I've spent all this money that I got to pay Sally Mae back for, being able to merge those
Yeah.
skills
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
with something that I love, and then also show people who aren't in the industry that they can make the change and be successful if they practice and if they put in the work. Like, it's a great feeling to see, and I'm so glad that I'm at this point. I'm going into my 3rd year in business, and like I said, I'm just now starting to see and hear the love that I get in the beauty community. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that it was going on because I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
in the community. But as I grow and as my business grows and I'm around more people, I'm learning and I'm seeing how people perceive me, and it is reassuring me that I'm moving in the right direction, and also continuing to help me grow.
Absolutely. So both of you guys are similar in a sense of, and let me just back up. The whole business model that both you guys have, there's a big part of it that's fairly new to business, right? So in business school, when we had our entrepreneurship courses, never once did we talk about creating a business and then literally teaching other people how to be your competitors. We didn't they don't teach that in business school. You understand what I'm saying, right? Right? So that business model is fairly new to the business world, right? Piggyback on that, at the same time, there's a whole nother group of people that are using that business model to hustle people. Right? To literally like, oh, I'm gonna turn you into this for that amount of money. Oh, you gonna make this. And he's like, nah. Both of you guys have already mentioned empowering people, empowering women more specifically. So what for you, what gives you guys, especially Tina, to be honest, Tina, what gives you the peace of mind, and what gives you the opposite of insecurity? I don't even know what that is. I guess it's just security. To where you're literally helping other women get into the same industry that you're in. Ultimately, you're making you're creating your competition, even though you're the OG, right? But you're creating your competition. You get what I'm trying to ask you.
I already know. Yes.
Like, yeah, like
I've heard this. Yes. What makes me secure about that? Well, the first thing I will say, I know what's for me is for me. I do have an exit strategy in place for my uniform business. And if I don't, then they will go to someone who is trying to scam them, because
see, that's what I'm talking about. That, yes.
If I don't help them, they're going to, I mean, I get people all the time who've already spent $12,000, $14,000, $17,000 on another program, and they did not get what they needed, and then they enroll in my program, which is severely underpriced, apparently. But
it just went up.
Put them on notice. Put them on notice.
Yes.
Oh yeah, things are going up for sure. But yes, I think it's just the knowing that I'm actually making a difference. I'm actually seeing people, in their different communities. When it's online, I mean, it's endless competition online. It's companies that you've never even heard of, that you'll never hear of.
True.
That you are competing against. And a lot of times, you still can make money. You still can make a lot. You have to know your audience. You don't need 2 million followers. You don't need 2 million email subscribers to make 6-7 figures. You know what I mean? You just have to have a great product. You have to have a funnel. You have to have great marketing. There's some other things, but there is room. Just like there's 25 bread places, types of bread grocery store.
Tell them about it. Give them the bread analogy.
Oh,
give it to them.
Flour bread, diet bread, fried white bread, grain. There's so many different options out there, and people, what really separates me from other people is the same thing that separates them from other people. Is
there you go.
Your unique self. It's your brand. It's who you are. They like you. They know you. They trust you. And so this is just the beginning for me. Like, I have no doubt that there is going to be more. So, I just love helping. So at the end of the day, when it's time for me to make a move, I'm going to be able to do that. If it gets to be too much, but I will always help. Like, being a nurse, I'm a nurturer. I love to provide information. I have my master's in nursing education. So I love to teach no matter what. And I just really, once I saw people getting hustled, and I almost fell for it at the very, very beginning, I said, you know what? I answer to a higher God. And I'm not about to play those games. Like, I'm going to get to where I need to get to without, going that route. So
listen, for everybody that's listening to the show right now, you will not find two other people who are the perfect mix between the greater good and capitalism. It can actually be done, folks. I'm telling you, it can be done. Like you can be a really good person and make a lot of money at the same time. You don't have to cut corners. You don't have to sell out. You don't have to do any of those things. You can do both. And again, these two people are some of the best examples of literally greater good and capitalist. Right? So NiNi, go ahead, because I know you want to jump on that. You want to jump on that question too.
Yes. And like Tina, she hit the nail on the head. Like, what's for you is for you. And as long as your intentions are pure, I say this all the time, if your intentions are pure, whatever happens beyond that is beyond you. We go out and we help people. We try to put people in a position to create, generational wealth for their family, to create, opportunity to help other people. I don't believe that I would have gotten to where I am had people not help me along the way. So I'm always going to be willing to help people, always going to be willing to share information. And if whatever happens as a result of that, I know that my intentions were pure and I'm always going to be covered. Even if I don't see it in the moment.
That's right.
I know that when the dust settles, I'm going to be good. And to me, that's the most important thing. Me being able to tell my daughter that I'm out here making an honest living. I'm doing right by her. Ain't nobody going to come in here one day and take everything away because I done did some stuff in the dark. I want her to be proud of what I've done and what I've created, and to know that I created this the right way. I worked hard. I didn't cheat anybody for it. I didn't have to steal from anybody. I didn't have to take nothing from anybody because it's unnecessary. God aligned me and put me in this position, because I still sometimes I'm like, how did I even get here? Like, you was supposed to be doing child and family therapy. You got all of this, education and spent out. I still have moments where I'm like, how did I get here? Yeah. And I would never want to keep that feeling from somebody else, especially people who I can see the potential in. Like, I want you to experience this too, because I was once on the same side, going to work every day. Like, I did this right. I went to college. Why is my life like this? I was there, so I can relate. That's real. I would never want to keep anybody from experiencing the peace, even though it is stressful, but it's my stress. It's not stress that is put onto me by any other entity, any other person. This is stress that I created, and I picked this stress 1,000 times over again, before I would go and be stressed out over things that are superficially helping people, or things that are just, I can go on and on.
No, man.
I like to say, this is like our baby, and I feel like as long as you're doing what you need to do and you're honest, God will provide for you. Like, He opened the door for me to teach. If that door closes, He's going to open up an even better door, and might open up a window too. So I'm not ever worried about that. I want to see people win, and people respect that. So even if they did become successful, they still would be willing to work with me, help me if I need help, and vice versa. So it's about developing those relationships and creating bridges and not burning them as you get over them. Because you might have to go back around that same way. So as long as you're doing it, like, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, and you don't, like you said, you don't have to burn bridges. You don't have to step on necks. You don't have to undercut people. You don't have to do, like, you can actually live, again, a very good life. Everything be above board. You can pay your taxes, guys.
Exactly.
Talk about it.
You can actually report your income and pay your specified level of taxes, right? But again, we're talking about the glow up, and NiNi said it at the beginning. Tina said it at the beginning. Brad said it at the beginning. It's a mindset. So you see these three individuals. You heard their stories almost a year ago, and you see that the mindset that they had back then, and you see how it's even developed even more now. This is what's required. Again, there's no shortcuts, right? So if you're listening to me and you're trying to figure out how you can get in Tina's class because you think just because there's a pandemic, people are going to be buying a ton of scrubs and you think you can make some quick money, I'm telling y'all, that's probably not gonna be
They,
the thing. Now I'm sure she'll take your money, but at the same time,
you
she
got to put
know
in work.
that you ain't got the juice. You see what I'm saying? Because I probably would take the money. I shouldn't speak for Tina. I shouldn't speak for Tina. I would take your money. I don't know if Tina would, but what I'm saying is there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts. So you might as well start now. You might as well start studying now, doing your research now, putting things in motion to adjust your mindset to be what it is that you set out to be, what you know God has called you to be. You might as well start now because you're not going to be able to wait 6 months and then think you're going to be able to make up 6 months by doing something sideways. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. So this is the time of the show, guys. I'm sure you remember this, where I want you to leave the listener with something that they can use, right? Something that they can ponder on. This is it, right? This is you speaking to them on a personal level, and making sure that whatever message, whatever your theme is for your life and your business and how you operate and how you maneuver, this is your time to communicate that. So we'll leave it to Tina first. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you again for having me back on the podcast. Um, I just want to say that if you're listening and you have any fears or doubts in your mind about moving forward with your business, or maybe you have a business and you're ready to give up, um, I want you to basically take some time, either today or tomorrow, and write down, what it would mean for you to be successful. Like, exactly how would that feel in your body? Write down your goals, write down your dreams as to what it is you are trying to achieve. Because when you write things down and you repeat them and say them out loud, it really does connect with the universe. It really does help manifest the things that you are seeking. You have to really train your mind, because if you are not feeding yourself internally with those positive messages daily, it's not you're not going to get to where you want to get to. I'm telling you, you have to. For me, I write things down every single day. I have things on my wall. I have post-it notes, big post-it notes that I list things out, to remind me of what it is that I need to do and what I'm actually working towards and working for. Speak things in the present tense as though you already have them. If you want to be successful, say I am successful in my business. My business is a six-figure business. Daily, you're going to have to your mind and your body will start to do things, um, without you even realizing it, getting you to that place that you're trying to get to. And I know it sounds like, what is she talking about? If you're not there yet, but I promise you will get there. But stay the course. Always reevaluate the things that you're doing. If something is not working, reevaluate it, find the solution. If you're not good at something, outsource it. Don't spend 30, 60, 90 days trying to figure out one little thing on a website or whatever it is.
Say that again.
Outsource. It's not you're not going to get it. Just move on and outsource. Okay? That's not your lane, that's not your area of genius. So focus on what you're good at and outsource the rest when you're able to. But those are the few things I'll leave with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Tina. NiNi, the floor is yours.
um a lot of Tina said a lot of great things. I mean, a lot of the things that she said I actually implement. Like, she's not lying. Speaking those things into existence, taking notes, having constant daily reminders, constantly listening to things that feed you the message that you want to hear, um, and keep going. If you have to just get a big piece of paper and write down, keep going and stick it to where you can see it every day. Keep going. Don't get discouraged. Keep going. That's the biggest thing that I can say. And if I say it all the time to myself, like I keep saying, I don't know how I got here, because all I kept doing this whole time is just saying, keep going, keep going. But don't be so focused on going that you miss out where you've been, like I did. It's just all been a blur. But definitely have to keep reminding yourself and feed yourself the information that you want to portray, the things that you want to have, and feed yourself that. You have to feed yourself the life you want and change your perspective to see the things that you want to see. So when you're having a horrible day, don't focus on that. Experience it and move forward, but get better every single day. That's all I tell myself is if I can do one thing better today than I did yesterday, then I'm making progress. But keep going. Keep going. And listen to the playbacks of all of these podcasts on School of the Hard Knocks. And I'm telling you, you gonna be inspired. And it's like you can't listen to that and not want to get out, hang up, and be like, okay, where my to-do list at? If you need some inspiration, it's there. Like I'm telling you, it's there. I listen to podcasts daily. Like, cause I'm like, Genine, you forgetting, you going back in that 9 to 5 mindset.
Wow.
You ain't getting paid for sitting here like you was just
Wow.
at work doodling on the computer for an hour. You can't take no hour long, 15-minute break that turn into an hour. Going back to that mindset that ain't paying the bills. Stay focused. So just stay focused and keep going. That's my only advice.
Hey, well, that's sound advice. Only thing I'm going to add to that is I'm going to literally say, guys, start now. Mm-hmm. Start now. If even if you've got a twinkle in your eye to do something extraordinary, start investigating it, get serious about it, start doing research, start reading books, start shifting your mindset. Start now. Literally, time is your most valuable asset. Most of you think it's the number in your bank account. I'm here to tell you that's foolish. Time is your most valuable asset. And the more time that you spend wasting away and talking about what you're going to do instead of taking action, is time that's going to cost you on the back end of success. The goal is to be successful for as long as possible. That's the goal, right? So that it translates to the next generation. You have to get to a certain point so that the next generation can start somewhere close to where you left off. So in order to put your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, your siblings, whoever in position, you need to start now, or else they're going to have the same trials, tribulations, struggles, hardships, unfortunately, that you had. Okay? So start now. So listen, guys, this has been the School of Hard Knocks podcast. I'm your host, Mark W. Knox. Class is dismissed.